So the room is filling up very quickly. Thank you very much for everyone who is joining. So I would hand over now to Yinka.
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent.
Good morning, everyone. So nice to have you here with us today. We can see that the room is filling up really quickly, and that is awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. As some of you would know, we started the Agriculture Seminar Series at the beginning of the year, where we will be treating, or where we have been treating, different topics that relate somewhat to agriculture and Nigeria. Today we're on irrigation and water management. So this is the June webinar looking specifically into water management, irrigation, sanitation, wastewater management. And it's going to be a really, really interesting session. So thank you so much for joining us. As you would know, the webinar is organized, so the series actually is organized by the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce in Nigeria, and specifically the Competence Center Agribusiness. We have quite a few competence centers within the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce in Nigeria. This webinar is organized by, as I said, Agribusiness in conjunction with the Competence Center Energy and Environment, headed by my colleague Godwin. So I am Yinka, and Godwin is joining me today, moderating the session. And we have some really, really interesting speakers with us today. Before we introduce our speakers, just to let you know a bit more about our Delegation of German Industry and Commerce. We have been in Nigeria for about 40 years. So we're actually celebrating 40 years in Nigeria this year. We have a series of really interesting events. And since January last year, we opened an office in Abuja. So we have been present in Lagos for about 40 years and in Abuja for about 2 years. We have various departments that cover various industry sectors, from innovation and startups to business development, energy and environment, skills development, vocational training, but also agribusiness. We're so excited to be here to present to you what we do and to further our conversations and our engagements with you. We have a series of events happening every single month, so be sure to follow us on our social media handles, as well as sign up for our newsletters to be informed about further sessions. But as I said, today we're looking at irrigation, sanitation, and waste management. In Nigeria, we have really exciting speakers, and they will be addressing the various discussion points. One of our companies, Tia Abbas specifically, is also part of a larger project where we are consulting with German companies regarding market entry into Nigeria, the Project West Africa, which is a service rendered to German companies who are interested in entering the West African market. You don't have to be in wastewater management or water at all. If you're a German company and you're interested in entering the Nigerian market, please get in touch with us and we'll be happy to provide you with more information. But that's it about us as an organization and what we do. And over to you, Godwin, to start the discussion for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Olayinka. Welcome everyone to this morning's session. I am very honored and grateful to have all of you here. Like Yinka said, this is part of what we do here at the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce to try and get Nigerian and German businesses talking, because we believe when you talk, then this business will happen. So it's good to have all of you here. My name is Godwin, like Yinka said, Godwin Agbokan. I am the head of the Competence Center Energy and Environment here at the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce. I cover topics like renewable energy, water, hydrogen, low carbon development, circular economy. I am not the jack of all trades and master of none. So I do my best, the best I can in all of these aspects. So thank you very much. The goal of today's session is to highlight what are the linkages, where is the nexus between proper water management and sustainable agriculture, and how can we all find that nexus where we say if we have proper wastewater treatment, if we have proper wastewater sanitation and all those practices around that, right, we will be able to have more water, better water management for in Nigeria. As many of you know, the World Environment Day is happening on the 5th of June. And the theme for today is is ecosystem restoration. If you look around, for example, in a place like Lagos, the wetlands are going away. And one of the major reasons is because of proper wastewater management, proper water management, proper sanitation. All of these do not exist. And these can have implications for Nigeria and the future of our ecosystem here. So today we would like to talk about this. Basically talk about German solutions, talk about what is available, what are our options to deal with these challenges. And we have three speakers today. The first is Mr. Jean Matisse. He's an expert for the design, engineering, and sales of wastewater treatment plants. And he works for a company called TIA Abwasser. Sorry, my German is really bad. And he develops projects for wastewater cleaning around the world, preferably in Africa, where the resources need to be protected for the future. Jean is particularly here because he's looking for a partner in Nigeria, which he thinks is the most interesting market in Africa. So I hope those of you who are in wastewater management could get in touch with Jean after this webinar. The second speaker today is Bernard Rockhampton. I know that I have murdered your name. I'm sorry, Bernard. I should have asked you for the proper pronunciation. Rockhampton. Bernard is a project lead for a GIZ project called SDG Market Building. He's based in Bonn. He's part of GIZ's in-house development team for private sector collaboration. Bernard specifically focuses on irrigation, basically, and efficient irrigation. I think that's a better word to use. And he has worked mainly on startup support in Namibia and sustainable businesses in Egypt. He promotes greener practices in flower industry, and he owns a small-scale flower farm through his involvement with the German slow flower movement, which he is a founding member. So he's an interesting guy, and I'm sure Bernard will give us a lot of interesting ideas about irrigation during this webinar. And our last and very important speaker is Mr. Francois Messenberg. Again, sorry, I should have asked for the pronunciation. Francois used to work with IMWI, which is the International Water Management Institute, based in Accra. He's French Luxembourgian, so he's multilingual. He speaks, he has started schooling in France and continued in Germany, and he has a master's degree in mechanical engineering. At ILMI, that's the International Water Management Institute, Francois worked on an interdisciplinary research project to develop the appropriate business scaling pathways for products and technologies that are generated from the ILMI research. He especially assisted the VAFO and CAPVAL projects for the transformation of fecal sludge and organic waste into compost in their final stages and in the start of their commercial operations. So we are very grateful and lucky to have all our three speakers here. But before we go on to the business of the day, we would like to know who is in the room. So we would like to launch a short poll now to sort of give us an idea of, who is in the room, who we are talking to. So if you see the poll on your screen now, we'll be grateful if you could just take, a second to go through and just let us know where you work so that we can tailor this presentation, better. So please just click an option on the screen so let us know where you are working from, and click submit at the bottom of the poll when you're done. So let's just give everyone a couple of minutes for that. Okay. For those of you who are just joining, there is a poll that we are running. So just answer. Okay, I think the poll is over now, right? So let's go into the business of the day. Before we start, I just wanted to highlight what my colleague Olayinka just mentioned. If you have a question, because I see there's a hand up, if you have a question, please use the Q&A function to ask any of your questions now, and we will take it at the end of the session. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Jean-Mathis to give a presentation to introduce his company, TIA Abvasa, and why they think Nigeria is an interesting market. Over to you, Jean.
Yeah, thanks to all for your attention. I'm Jean-Mathis, working here in Germany for TIA since around 4 years in a project development. And let me start the presentation. So we as TIA, we work since 1987 and building wastewater treatment plants around the world for municipals and industries. We have built around 200 wastewater treatment plants until now, and as you see, it's only 17 in Africa. The amounts which we have erected are around between 50 cubic meter per day up to 8,000 cubic meter a day. So as you see, it's a wide range of sizes. And the reasons, there are many different reasons to build a wastewater treatment plant. Very seldom the main motivation is to install the plant to protect the environment. The main driving forces is the shortage of water or governmental pressure. As you see here, some examples. For instance, it could be a reuse of water, or it could also be compliance rules from the end customer. Or here you see also some hospital. There the elimination of virus and germs is for sure the most interesting thing. I show you some pictures that you get an impression how wastewater treatment could look like in Africa. This is in Egypt, 5 stars Mövenpick hotel, very close to the Red Sea. And they was interested in the reuse of water because they are they spend a lot of money to get the water out from the Red Sea by reverse osmosis. Here we have something in Egypt again, Pepsi Cola. This is how it looks like. It's most time it are big basins and some air is brought into the water. That's a typical biological system. Here you see it at the Seychelles. That was from the landfill wastewater treatment. This is in Mali. You can see it's very simple sometimes, but 95% of the toxic elements from the wastewater are reduced due to these simple systems. Here we have an example working since 20 years in Ghana. There we erected for Coca-Cola in 2001, one wastewater treatment plant. And I was there 2 years ago. It was running very well. They need to refurbish a little bit, but it's still running perfectly and the wastewater is cleaned very well. Here you see a bad example, like we found it in 2009 in Kuwait. That is the biggest plant TIA has ever built. This was a situation, all the wastewaters generated by industry was brought to the desert. Just let it flow. This, you can imagine, is very bad for the groundwater level, because the toxic elements will go through the earth to the groundwater, and then the people who consume the water from the ground water level, they are affected by these toxic elements. We built a big plant, a big wastewater treatment plant. Now the situation is the wastewater is collected, the wastewater is treated, and as you see, it's a very good quality, so you can use it for irrigation. What can we do as TIA? We have different types of solutions. So we can have very, in the end, cheap solutions for pre-treatment so that we take out some fat or oils or toxic chemicals, or we can avoid stench. These are simple solutions. We can also have medium-sized wastewater treatment plants with a target to clean the effluent up to irrigation standard, so that we can irrigate some land. But of course, we can also build wastewater treatment plants, very complex, fully automatic, with effluent quality for all kinds of reuse. For instance, the industry can recycle the wastewater and use it again in the production. So you see, it's a big variety. And the question is, what is necessary? To establish some wastewater cleaning in Nigeria, we are looking for a partner company. So it could be someone who is interested in wastewater cleaning and someone who has a good network, so that we can find possibilities to work in this area. Please contact me under this shown email. I thank you for your attention, and I hope you will have good questions so that we get into good discussions. Thanks for all.
Okay, thank you very much, Jean-Baptiste. Now, there are three things I took away from your presentation. The first one is that your plants are scalable and they are modular. I mean, you could have a very simple plant like the one you have in Mali to a very complex one that you have in Kuwait. The second thing that I took from your presentation is that treated wastewater can be used for irrigation and agriculture.
Exactly.
Actually very important because of our next speaker, Mr. Bernard. Because for us here, I mean, like I said initially, the theme for the World Environment Day this year is ecosystem restoration. And in a place like Lagos, if you look at the Lagos Lagoon, a lot of untreated wastewater goes into the Lagos Lagoon. And this pollutes the lagoon and reduces our ability to use it as a source of irrigation for our local agriculture here. And so that is why I think what Bernard is going to share with us is actually very interesting, because Bernard works, like I mentioned, for the GIZ project, SDG Market Building. And as someone who used to work for GIZ, I know the validity and the efficacy of the approach that Bernard will discuss. So I would like to invite him now, and I want everyone to pay attention and really get some really interesting bits about how the private sector can be supported for irrigation projects. So over to you, Bernard.
Thank you, Godwin, and everyone else for joining today. I think there was just a comment on emails, Godwin. So I think you will share information and the presentations anyway afterwards. Am I right to assume that, just for everyone's benefit?
Yes, everyone will get the presentations afterwards. And we would also run a survey while we are sharing the presentation, so it's fine.
Cool, splendid. Great, everyone. So what I wanted to do today is share a project that we are at the moment implementing here at GSE on behalf of the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, which is called SDG Market Building. And what we're essentially doing in SDG Market Building, and that now is in Kenya and Nigeria, so we've got 2 focus countries right now at the moment. So we are looking to support businesses in the countries in the agricultural sector to develop investment projects in green technologies. And obviously, the aim is to improve the uptake of green technologies, to get more agribusinesses investing in green technologies, obviously with good business reason, but from a development perspective, for us, obviously, to contribute the contribution of the private sector also to a more greener way of doing business. So there's something in for everyone, and I say that at the end again. Just to get the whole picture, we're talking about irrigation today, but we are also, if that is your interest in your business, we're also supporting businesses that want to invest in post-harvest mechanization, so make use of your agricultural outputs, diversify, reduce waste there, but also looking into the area of agrivoltaics, so using your agricultural areas not only for production but also for production of electricity that you can use then, for example, for mechanization. But talking about irrigation today, we see good reason, not only in Nigeria, but in lots of countries in the African context, where at the moment, like irrigation or irrigated land stands about like 6%. So there's a really big potential to do more about irrigation, either make existing irrigation systems more efficient or install irrigation in the first place. For obvious reasons like increase in yields, reduce costs for water, and also be more resource efficient. Because and especially for us, this yield increase is a very big priority. Because, as I said, irrigation isn't really happening across the board yet. We have a big issue with food insecurity and lots of countries actually being net importers of food. So there are good reasons for businesses to invest in efficient irrigation, yet that isn't really happening right now. So that's where we come in with our support, or the service we are developing in SDG market building. As I said, we're doing that now in Kenya and Nigeria. If you're a business there, then obviously this might be very interesting for you in Nigeria, but also, if this works, we would definitely want to do that also on a bigger scale in other countries. So just the process, so you know what we are doing. So we are looking for businesses in Nigeria that are in the agricultural sector, that are established and that are producing agricultural outputs, and that have an interest to invest in their businesses, and that want to install efficient irrigation. It can also go, more relating to what John just said, it can also go into the area of wastewater treatment or recycling of water, so that it's not an exclusive focus on efficient irrigation. What we'll do then, when you approach us and our team on the ground, Nigeria, we have got a step-by-step approach. At the moment, it's 10 steps that we go through to help you analyze your business, keeping all the factors in mind, the site of your plot, what you're growing right now, the climate, etc., to develop an irrigation system or a wastewater treatment system, or it can obviously also be in conjunction, that actually suits your business and the size of your business, or obviously also not only existing like areas of land, but also if you want to get new areas of land under cultivation. We then, once we have a project dossier and we invest in, and you also know that makes business sense, we do have a platform called leverage.de. I don't know if you know it. If you don't, definitely check it out. It is a platform where where businesses can find business opportunities in partner countries of BMZ. And there, basically, once we have a proposal and we basically know what you want to invest in, we log it onto that website, and then product and service providers from around the world can actually find you and offer and make an offer for the investment you want to take. And so once you've got your investment proposal and you've also got a provider, say someone who wants to install the irrigation or wastewater treatment system in your business, we also connect you to local banks to find suitable financing for your site and for the investment you want to make. So that's the process in a nutshell that we are following. That's obviously very broad, and I've just highlighted the I don't want to go into detail here, but just the 10 steps we are following, and we are guiding you through this process with our staff on the ground, so that, as I said, in the end you come out with a project dossier that you can use then to contract a product or service provider, and also find financing for it. Maybe just again, as I said at the beginning, why are we doing this? I mean, obviously financed by the development ministry here in Germany, and being a development agency, there is we see a huge development impact by moving into a greener way of doing business, and also using resources efficiently. So there's obviously what we want here is to get a bigger contribution of the private sector for a greener economy. That being said, we definitely think that pairs really well with benefits for your business on the ground. Obviously, through our support, you get a fast track to an efficient irrigation system. You still need to pay for it yourself. We are not going to do that, so we don't actually give you a grant or anything, but we give you all the information and the specifications you need, that what water treatment system or water irrigation system is right for you. So that helps you basically make the right investment decisions for your business. And then obviously also for providers of these systems, we sort of like help develop demand, not only in Nigeria, but as I said, also in Kenya right now, to actually increase that demand for irrigation systems, or as I said, agrivoltaics and systems to sort of like use the agricultural outputs. Yeah, so if you are interested, as I said, this will be shared anyway, so you have my email here. Please get in touch, whether you are a business in Nigeria in the agricultural sector, or if you're a business from elsewhere that is providing irrigation or water treatment or other water-related components or systems. Yeah, thank you very much. That was SDG Market Building in a nutshell. I'm really looking forward to the exchange, because Goldwyn, I think that's what it's all about today. Not us talking too much, but interacting with everyone and seeing what their take is on this.
Exactly, I'm very grateful for your presentation, because I think one of the things here that you mentioned was that you are supporting companies, right, that see that, okay, there's a need for this, there's a need for irrigation systems. How do we get that done? And that's a beautiful thing that I think we can go on with. But I would like to ask, so now we're entering into the panel discussion, right? And I want to ask Francois a question, right? I mean, these are all interesting things, right? Irrigation systems are there, wastewater treatment systems are there in Europe, and they work. But why has it been difficult to transfer those technologies from Europe to African cities, especially in the area for wastewater management and sanitation? Why has it been difficult?
This is based on the, if you analyze the way we organize water distribution and water sanitation in Europe, I would say this is centralized and mostly public organized. That means you take a big city in France, in my country, you have one company who distributes the water, and one company or public organization who collects the wastewater for the complete city. And if we look at big city in sub-Saharan Africa, and we can take Lagos, for example, I would say it's decentralized and mostly private organized. That means if you take the water distribution, okay, you don't have tap water in Lagos. And if you want to know how the people rely on drinkable water, the population of Lagos mostly rely on sachet water. okay? And if you analyze the organization of the distribution of sachet water, you don't have big company. It's mostly very small company who produce this sachet water and distribute it in a very local area, okay? So by the time I was making a feasibility study for a Dutch foundation prior joining IMI, I was counting more than 1,000 companies in Lagos producing sachet water, okay? And for the collection of, and for the sanitation, it's the same. Why? Because we don't have in Africa, in big cities, centralized sanitation system to collect the wastewater. Every entity, private household or commerce or industry rely on a septic tank system and collect their own wastewater, and the sludge need to be collected individually when those septic tanks are full. So, and again, the collection of the sludge is not organized by a big company. It's again, very small company, mostly one truck, one man, one company, who collect the sludge in his own area, and if he do it right, he transports the sludge to a treatment plant. But mostly that what is also one of the problem of this kind of organization. Most of the time, the sludge is not discarded the right way, and that affect very heavily the water to be collected for irrigation on one side, or for the population as potable water. So like a former panelist said, we discard a lot of wastewater and in a lagoon by Lagos, and we pollute the ground heavily. And that's the biggest difference. And so, if I'm going back to my country, for example, if you take the people who are in a sanitation and a wastewater business, we have two big companies, Suez and Veolia, okay? And on top of it, then trying to merge for the moment. So, in maybe in the near future, we only will have one company in France, will be probably the biggest company in wastewater sanitation in the world, but it's highly concentrated, highly centralized, okay? And when we come to try to work on this problematic in Africa, it's the contrary. Decentralized and very small company on both sides, distribution of water and collection of wastewater. That's the difference.
I mean, so Jean, given what Francois just said, right? Why bother? You know, why don't you just stick to building these highly sophisticated wastewater treatment plants? You know, in Europe, why do the small stuff? Why are you sweating with the small stuff?
Our goal always is clean effluent. So, and with the lack of money and high educated people in many African countries, there are different solutions needed. So we focus on a more simple process, for instance, so that we can have an easy operation, that an easy operation is possible. Because these high sophisticated plants, you need high educated people, you have a lot of measurement and control systems, which are expensive in the end, to buy it and to operate it. So I think the solution in Africa needs to be simple, so that we can have a focus on what is realistically feasible in the end. So what is possible. So, and we can have the biggest impacts of toxic elements in the wastewater to the environment. We can avoid that with maybe 1/3 or 20% of the price which we spend in Europe. So maybe we can have 90% less toxic elements with 20% invest. So that should be some solutions we should focus on, I guess. That's my personal opinion.
And to be honest, I completely agree.
If I may.
Okay, go on, Francois.
Yeah, to go towards Jean, I think the solution need to come from a private entity who want to solve the problem on their own level. Okay. Why? Because if the comparison, because that was the question asking to me. So in Europe, we have urbanization planning. So you build a city, you have a planning for urbanization. So we plan the sanitation, we plan the wastewater collecting, etc. This doesn't exist in Africa, but you have company, like Jean said, for example, the example in Ghana, Coca-Cola, who produce in Ghana Coca-Cola for the Ghanaian population. And this company want to have a positive impact on the environment and not pollute with his own production the area in which they are producing. So for those actors, you have to provide solution. Okay. Yeah. So my point was we cannot think global in Africa. We can, like we do in Europe, and we say, okay, we're gonna to solve the sanitation, the water problem in Paris. Okay, you cannot say we're gonna to solve the water problem in Lagos, but you can solve the wastewater problem from Coca-Cola in Lagos, or from another company in Lagos, or for another group in Lagos. And that's the approach we need to have. Yeah. And I think that's also the approach Jean have to push his business towards.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I agree with both of you. Although I would deviate a slight bit, because I think it's a collective effort. Not just the individual large companies taking responsibility, but also government and legislation has a role to play, you know, in because if you look at the Lagos Lagoon, for instance, it is not just, you know, the big companies that are polluting, right? It is also the small companies, like you said, Francois. So what we should also talk to those small companies too, to say, hey, what you are doing is reducing our potential water for irrigation. So I think it's both big and small approaches that we need to take to solve.
For those one, you have to build on the already existing organization. You have to build on the small company who distributes the water and the small company who collects the wastewater. And maybe the solution is in an organization of all these small company in a syndicate or in a groupment, in order to have a better control of what's happened with the sludge and the wastewater. Yeah. But you cannot have a global approach or to say we're gonna to generically solve this problem because your cities are growing so fast, and that even if we had urbanization planning, they probably couldn't keep up.
Yeah, true. I think the horse has already left the stable. So what we can do now is basically just damage control. But then Bernard, right? So I mean, we've heard from Francois, we've heard from Jean, right? I don't know. I mean, we're looking at it from the wastewater management side, but why efficient irrigation, right? Why is it important for the SDG market building program to prioritize efficient irrigation? Like, and do you think that there's a feedback loop to wastewater management as well? You see that happening?
No, thank you, Godwin. Maybe just adding to what everyone just said about, where's the angle? Is it private businesses investing, or is it the government making a grand plan? So I think those actually don't need to be mutually exclusive, right? I mean, we are also focusing now on more the business side, right? So individual businesses in investing in their operation and making that more efficient, or using their water more wisely. But on the other hand, also lots of African governments have made water a priority and using their water resources efficiently. So there's definitely also a role to play for governments, because obviously if we only say only businesses will invest in their operations, what do you do with all the effluents coming from cities and private households? So just as saying that, I guess there's a role to play here for everyone. But from like the business perspective that we are sort of like promoting at the moment, because that's sort of like our angle too. I think irrigation is really, really crucial. And I mean, even here in Germany and Europe, we've seen that during the past summers, and we were a bit overwhelmed with erratic weather patterns. We, to a large extent, relied on rain-fed irrigation, and then suddenly it got really dry, and we had to find quick solutions to that. And I think that's what farmers, obviously, in lots of African contexts, have been struggling with for a long time. So I think there's definitely, so the reason why water or efficient irrigation is so important, because that actually helps you to get away from very erratic rain-fed water patterns, because those obviously also mean that you get a bumper crop at one time during the year, and then you probably don't know what to do with that bumper crop, and I think 40% or up to 40% of what is grown in Nigeria actually isn't used of food, because it's just there at one point in time, and there's no way to sort of like use it or preserve it. That's why we're also looking at post-harvest mechanization, by the way. And that's definitely, so with that's something that irrigation can help with. So basically manage your growing periods to make sure you can grow throughout the year. That basically also means you as a business, you only use the water more efficiently, which obviously reduces costs, but it also helps you to sort of like make more money because you increase your yield, or you can use your outputs throughout the year. And that's why irrigation is so important, because it doesn't only touch on like water as a resource itself, but it also touches on the provision of food, the production of food, and as Jean highlighted, obviously still if you do irrigation, the water needs to come from somewhere, and that's also where the connection to wastewater treatment is, because say you are an agricultural producer, so you're growing potatoes, and then you're using water to clean these potatoes. Obviously, the one thing you can do is, drain the water into a nearby river, or even into a stormwater drain if you're doing that. But you can also reuse the water for irrigation of your potato fields. And that's where I think there is a very interesting connection between efficient irrigation and use of water. And that's why we've made water a priority, because it interconnects with so many other fields, and it's just such a vital topic, not only for farmers but also for like everyone basically in the world, because I mean the amount of water in the world isn't increasing, right? So it's staying the same, but the demand for water is, so we need to manage it more wisely.
I mean, 7 billion people on the planet now, and then Nigeria is what, 200 million, and that is a scary prospect, because we have 200 million people. We have to grow more food. We have to be more efficient, and that raises a question, because you touched on reuse, right? So I just wanted to ask Jean, right, like where do you see the future of water reuse? Because like Bernard mentioned, the amount of water is not increasing. Really, all the water molecules that we have today were available at the time of the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs drank the water we are drinking today. So the question is, where do you see the future of water reuse in Africa? Where do you think it's going? Do you think it's a topic that we need to start to really, really harm, get really loud speakers and just really say, come, we really need to reuse water. I mean, where do you see this?
From the theory, it sounds fantastic to have reused all waters, to have this zero discharge, which is very popular at the moment. Because zero discharge means to have zero impact to the environment. That would be the first time in our history of human beings that we can do that. So I think we need to understand that it's a long way to go to reach this target for all generated wastewaters from human beings. That's a long way. We can reach the target, but there is a way to go. We cannot reach it tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. We need to go away. And there are some technologies available, like you see it in the ISS, in the space. Yeah, so they recycle everything. So, but these technologies are not, how should I say, for every wastewater. Just right now, the technology is not for every wastewater, and it's still very expensive to have this technology available. For Africa, TIA recommends to go a pragmatic way. The first step needs to be done before the second in the end. A proper and low-priced pre-treatment is in the end better than nothing. And it works well to secure against major impacts like toxic chemicals, oil, or bad smell, for instance. The second step could be a wastewater treatment where the effluent could be perfect for simple reuse issues like irrigation. But for the long-term future, zero discharge is without any alternative. When we see the amount of people living on the earth rising up still, but we need to go step by step to establish wastewater treatment in Africa and solve the biggest problems with available forces. So we need to have in mind there are not unlimited forces, there is not unlimited money. We need to go step by step. That's our opinion.
I mean, thank you. Thank you, Jean. I mean, it's a very scary prospect, in my opinion. When we think about it, population is rising, and we're losing watersheds, we're losing ecosystems, we're losing renewable water resources, and it begs the question, right? Like, and this is it's open to everyone, all of you, right? It begs the question, like, what do we need to do to get everyone on the same page? Like, what do we need? Because I don't think the main problem. I think one of the main problems is that everyone is not on the same page regarding this water problem, right? We don't all see it as a problem. Like, all of us see it as a problem, right? But it's not the case for most people, in African countries, for government, for private sector. So the question now is, what do we need to do to just build this sort of multi-stakeholder partnerships to say, this is an issue. Everything we are talking about is zero discharge, water reuse, water management, food production, population. All of these are interlinked topics. So how do we get this multi-stakeholder partnership going? What do we need to do to get private sector, government, everybody talking about this issue and getting the problem solved?
If I may, I would say you have to, like you say, you have to go from a practical point of view first, and also very important, an economical point of view. Okay, we're talking about multi-stakeholder cooperation between Western technology company and African needs here, for example, in Lagos. You have to be sure that the technology you provide okay, is economically feasible for the people who are going to apply it. So they need to be able to afford it, okay? We have, but because from the world I'm coming from, we have the most sophisticated irrigation technology developed, okay? I think that the most advanced ones are coming from Israel. And but the point, if we are talking about irrigation, is this sophisticated technology adapted to the size of the farm, or the size of the business of the people we want to put it in? Because if not, it may work in a development project in which a foundation or funding wanted to fund the project in order to make it working. But after it, if the people have to maintain and to continue to grow it on their own economic forces, it probably will collapse. So we need to find adapted solution, okay? And like Jean said, okay, a simple waste treatment, we're gonna to treat 90% or at the beginning eliminate the odors, etc., is better than nothing, and have at least with the effluent less impact on the environment as if you were doing nothing. So, but I think we should avoid to cut corners and to go directly to the ultimate solution, because we have to go step by step.
I'm in complete agreement with you. And one of the things I think I took from what Jean mentioned, he said 20% of the cost of the investment required for a typical wastewater treatment system in Europe, you can use to do wastewater treatment here in Nigeria. And I eliminate 90% of toxic chemicals. That is, for me, a no-brainer, right? That's an approach that we should take. And from what you mentioned, Francois, you said two things. The first thing, it has to be practicable in terms of cost, and you also said it has to be adaptable for the long term. So those are two important things that I would take from what you say. Jean, what do you think? How do we get multi-stakeholder partnerships going?
I think the governmental rules always in Africa are okay. So from the government, the rules, everything is fine. You have low values which everybody needs to hold. But the problem is, I guess, the control. Who controls it? And what is done when someone is doing wrong things? So are there penalties? Is there a system where someone is controlling what are the companies, for instance, big industrial companies? They have much more wastewater, which is much more polluted than the municipal one. So is there any control system? Is there a penalty system? Is there something, a driving force, which brings these industrial companies to the point where they say, okay, we need to do it? Because from themselves, nobody will do anything. You need to bring some pressure on them. That is, otherwise nobody will do something. Nobody will invest in wastewater treatment without getting something back. If you have maybe arid climate like you have in North Africa, there the people see the advantage of the reuse because they don't need to desalt the water from the sea. And that is sometimes cheaper to have wastewater treatment. So that is the economical point of view. But this works better in arid climates where water is very shorted. But here in Nigeria, you have some water, but you pollute it. So the lagoon, what you told, it's so the water normally you cannot use it for anything. You need some restrictions, and this system that is a theme where you can learn maybe also something from European countries, how it works. This is my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. So from you, I take implementation and control of regulations, of available regulations, will be one of the key ways to do that. So Bernard, we have 5 minutes more, but I don't know if you can.
I'm not intending to fill 5 minutes with an answer. Whatever your question is.
The question is still the same. What do we need to get multi-stakeholder partnerships going, right?
Right. Yeah, so I think it's all about getting the right partners on board, right? Multi-stakeholder partnerships always sound very nice, but just getting everyone in a room doesn't usually solve a problem. So from my perspective, it's just very important to get the right partners. And I think John is really right that that there always needs to be a trigger, first of all, for a business to invest in anything. And with wastewater, it's probably when there's regulations. With irrigation, it's probably more that you can actually show that there's a business benefit because you reduce your water bill or you can increase your yield, etc. So that it's an investment that actually totally makes business sense. So that can be another trigger. So I think that's something we shouldn't forget. I know we like to talk about partnerships, but I think we always need to think about what makes a business invest in the first place. And then from our perspective, I think like from a now talking outside of governments, which always have a role to play. But I think what we need is a business that wants to invest in a water treatment plant or in irrigation system, and then we need a suitable product. And I think that's always often also where the issue is. Because, and that's actually what we all also find, even if you have a business and they say, okay, I totally see the need to have a wastewater treatment or to have a better irrigation system, you still need to find those providers somewhere. And that's also what we are trying to do in our approach, to connect the businesses with providers and service and tech providers. So I think this is a very crucial part. And I think that's actually also, I suspect, what John is doing or trying to do. Because once you build a water treatment plant, and even if it's just a very simple one and people see that it works, then there will also be more other businesses investing. I think it's always seeing is believing, right? You can tell people lots about, oh, this is such a great system. If you haven't seen it with your eyes that it's working, you're probably not going to buy it. Yeah. So I think that is important. So the business itself, and then the product and service provider, and then last but not least, we definitely need to talk. And I just saw that you were having a session in October on finance, because I think that's very, very important. Because yes, obviously businesses that are bigger, they might have their own resources, but also especially talking SMEs, you might need a loan. And they are often not really tailored products for things like an irrigation system, because the standard T's and C's apply, and it's probably not affordable. And also people making these decisions about a loan, they don't necessarily understand how a farm works and how farmers think and what the challenges are. So I think we need to definitely think about that financing component more thoroughly, and I definitely want to join that session in October.
Okay, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. I think at this point we're 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes left, so I would read out some of the questions. But for me, I think what I would take from this session is that what we need in Africa are low-cost solutions for distributed wastewater treatment to promote irrigation and water reuse. That is going to be what I think. Okay, so let us ask a few questions. The first question we have here is from Enoch. Agrovoltaics, I'm interested in knowing more. Please share my email with Bernard. Okay, for the benefits of all others, perhaps a few words of a summary would be good to know. Okay, I think that I summarized it. How can we partner with a sister agency within my country? That is from Zaid Ahmad Baban Lungu. Zaid, I'm not sure who you are directing this question to. Maybe I think the speakers have talked about this throughout. The next question is from Sanusi Diko. Don't you think that government policies on water reuse must be reviewed in Nigeria to insist on all smaller and bigger factories to have waste plants. I think that is possible. I think Jean, you answered this question through your
yes. I tried to find it here in the what was the question? I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Don't you think that government policies on water reuse must be reviewed in Nigeria to insist on all smaller and bigger factories to have waste plants?
Yeah, that is what I told before a little bit, because the governmental rules are there, I guess, and I think, but without any restrictions, nobody will do something. So we need some governmental control of it. And
Yeah.
then the industry will get some pressure to do something. So I think that is the right way.
Yeah. We have one question from Titus Alonge at Bernard. What are the criteria for your potential partnership?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
What is the criteria for a company that wants to partner with SDG Market Building?
Okay, well, that depends on what angle we are now looking. But you know, as a agri business in Nigeria, please just get in touch. We don't have like a catalog where we say we work with you and we don't work with you. At the moment, we are mainly looking at SMEs, so working with SMEs to structure their investments. And the criteria will basically well, the most important thing is that you don't expect like a grant or anything like you know what donors usually do, handing out money, but that you're interested in investing in your business and you need support for that, and that's what we can provide. So then we can definitely start talking.
Okay. Charles Ebenua, we will share your email address for partnerships with the speakers if you're interested. You mentioned that. Matthew Magwede. Good afternoon, great presentations. However, there are a lot of operational challenges, but very little is done when it comes to energy audits in pump stations. How do you plan to enforce this to operators? I think this question is for Bernard.
Energy audits in pump stations. So we are not particularly working on energy audits in pump stations right now. I would be interested in the exchange and just understanding more of what's behind it, because I'm not familiar with the Nigerian context of energy audits in pump stations. So I wouldn't be really qualified to answer that right now, but we can definitely, Matthew, we can definitely enter that discussion via email
Okay.
if you like.
Okay, Matthew, if you could send me an email, I'll forward your question to Bernard, and maybe he can get in touch with you for further discussions.
And my email is in the presentation anyway, so everyone can just
everyone can just get in touch.
Oh, please don't.
Another question for you, Bernard, from Desmond Umukuru. Has the SDG Act started its activities in Nigeria already? I think the answer is yes.
Yes, we do have people, a team in Nigeria that is doing the project development. Yeah.
Okay, but Desmond wants to get the contact of the person in charge of project development. So maybe if you can, Desmond, if you can send an email to Bernard, he can get in touch with you with that.
Yeah, please get in touch.
All right, from Enoch. Francois highlighted the specific differences in built environment / planning and the impact on operationalizing large wastewater treatment plants. How can retrofitting and refurbishment address these, whilst new developments take into consideration the need for integration? I think, Francois, that's for you.
Are we talking about white elephants? No, but so if the question is how can we refurbish already existing facilities and plants we construct in the past, the answer is yes. Okay, and at IMI we conduct several studies, first to register all already existing facilities and trying to explain why they were not anymore in function, what was the problem, and if it would be possible to refurbish them and to put them back in track. In order to do this, you need to combine probably private investment and political willing. Okay, the problem we are facing here is in most of the case from the public and the political point of view, and it is understandable. The people prefer to hide it, okay, and not to show it. So it was for me, I was working for 2 years in Ghana, and it was even difficult to visit those plants, okay, to have the permit to visit, etc., and to ask the relevant people why it's not working anymore, what is the problem, etc., etc. But the situation is evolving in a good direction. For example, waste treatment plant in the east of Accra, what I visited 2 years ago in 2019, was abandoned, is now in rehabilitation, and the contract will is conducted by a Ghanaian company with the help of international donors. So it's going in the right direction, but it's a difficult subject.
Okay, I think Enoch was talking basically about, is it Lavender Hill in Accra? That's what's called, right?
No. It's a plant in Tema.
Okay.
You had in Tema, you had, because of the old infrastructure based of the back in the colonial time, you have a centralized wastewater collection system. Okay, and this was ending in a treatment plant who was able to treat, I think, 6,000 cubic a day. But lack of maintenance, lack of whatever, the plant was 2 years ago when I visited it, abandoned. But now it is really in rehabilitation. So I expect that at the end of the year or beginning of next year, it will working again. Okay. So as a positive example.
Yeah. I visited Lavender Hill when I was in Accra recently, 2019.
Yes,
and it is the most beautiful smelling place in the world. Very beautiful.
But the situation there is also improving, because if you were 5 or 6 years ago, okay, you had the same situation. As Jean showed us in his presentation in Dubai, if I'm right,
Kuwait,
okay, where Kuwait, where the septic tank trucks were discarding in a world, we had the same situation in Lavender Hill in Accra. They were discarding on the beach, directly in the sea. Okay, so regarding to this past situation, the situation is today far better. Okay, it's not perfect. It's still a lot of room of improvement. I agree with you, but we are coming from far away.
Yeah, I'm sure. So Enoch, I hope that's okay. Unfortunately, we can't take more questions. We're already 7 minutes over time. So on behalf of everyone here at the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce in Nigeria, I would like to thank you all for attending today's session. I would send an email with the presentations of Jean and Bernard, and I would also send it along with a short survey, just 2 or 3 questions to know what we thought about the survey, and whose presentation was more interesting for you, and then how maybe next steps you would like to have. So thank you very much. Stay in touch. We have a lot of exciting events this year. around agribusiness, around energy. We have a hydrogen project coming up. We have a circular economy project. We have a lot of projects this year. It's an exciting year, and I hope we all we stay in touch, and we can expect you to attend future events. Yeah. So
thank you so much again. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thanks to our speakers for today as well. Just a reminder that we are having a monthly webinar series. So we come together every first Wednesday of the month between 10 and 11 a.m. to treat various topics, and we have got really interesting topics coming up, such as food and nutrition security or digital agriculture, as well as finance, as mentioned earlier. So please do stay in touch with us, follow our social media channels, and we look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.